PBKC is your entertainment destination for poker, table games, OTV, Paddock live events, and exceptional eats. The Paddock Restaurant is perfect for meetings, corporate functions, parties, fundraising, and more. Call 561-683-2222 extension 199 and book your next event today. Feast in Football is back in the Paddock. Get ready for touchdowns and tasty bites every football Sunday during the regular season. Enjoy a $25 all-you-can-eat buffet plus one draft beer, or get it free when you place a $25 or more live bet on the Hard Rock Bet app at PBKC. Featuring 140 HD TVs, 3 giant screens, and a full bar. Bring your crew, place your bets, and pile your plate high. This is how Sundays were meant to be.
It's Monday morning, and we're going to have a show on our hands today. It's PBKC Picks, broadcasting live from the Palm Beach Kennel Club. I'm Mike Jameson. I get to wish you guys a Merry Christmas last week. I want to shout out to Sully, who did the producing, and Noah, who did the hosting last week on the Christmas show. A job done, guys. Proud of you. I think you guys did a great job.
But I got to say, Noah was very impressive yesterday.
Yeah, it's great. Noah's happy now. He's got some stuff that he texted me, but we have a live show today.
Wait, let's not overdo it here. He did okay.
Yeah.
He's no Mike Jameson.
He did sufficiently, but we got a good show today. Pat Rooney's here, the president of PBKC. How you doing, Pat?
I'm doing good, Mike. Ready to go. Ready to roll here.
Okay, we got a lot to talk about, and we got some people that are fired up on this panel, including right behind me. That is Ernest Christian. How you doing, Ernest?
I'm doing well. How's your Christmas?
It was great. How was yours?
It was excellent, actually.
Okay, nice. Let's get into some of the action. This is our last week coming up of Feast in Football. Last week of the regular season, that is. So that is coming up on Sunday. That's in the Paddock all-you-can-eat buffet for $25. Bet $25 more on your Hard Rock Bet app at PBKC, and you're going to get that buffet for free of charge. It's Feast in Football. The last NFL Sunday is coming up this Sunday, and we're going to talk about that big game party a little bit later on. And let's congratulate our CBS Pick'em winners. We had a winner last week, Bruce D., that we didn't congratulate on the show. Congrats to Bruce D. And this week, Eric Williams. There's no way anybody's going to catch Eric Williams, but there's a couple of guys on that list that I recognize the name of. Patrick Sullivan, who's just been on fire this year, and, of course, Patrick Rooney.
All I did was pick all the home teams except for your Las Vegas Raiders.
Yeah.
That's the only one I did not pick.
Always safe.
That's
Smart
all
guy.
I did. And I got 9 wins just picking the
good
home
job,
team.
man.
That's
Yeah.
all I did.
Yeah,
Am I on the pager at all? I'm not there, right?
Yeah. No.
I stink.
Did you? I didn't put my picks in because then I have an excuse at the end of the year, like, oh, I didn't even put my picks in a couple of weeks. That's why I'm so terrible. But congrats.
What a cop-out.
Sully at 131 wins. He's up there tied with Rob Summer right now. We'll have to get a big list of that next week to see who had the most picks all season long. But congrats to everybody on that list. Bruce D. and Eric Williams, I'll be contacting you later about your free buffet. Now let's move into some of that NFL news. Yesterday we had a big game. Eagles held off the Bills 13-12. How'd you feel about that game, Pat?
Well, I think if you're an Eagles fan, that was a great game. They've showed repeatedly this year that they can go on the road and beat some really good teams. Buffalo needed that game, really, if they were going to have a hope of winning the division. Now they're not going to win that. But if I'm a Bills fan, again, I am concerned because, number one, they seem to slow start every game. They don't do anything in the first half for some reason. Then they wait for 5 minutes to go, in this case, to actually start doing something. And I think, much like we talk about Lamar Jackson not being 100%, Josh Allen he screwed up his foot. And I don't think they're trying to play it up too much, but that guy is their whole team. He's the whole team. So if he's diminished at all, Buffalo is going to be in trouble in the playoffs. So I don't know. They should probably rest him this week and give him a couple weeks. But if I'm Buffalo, I'm a little concerned. I still think they're the quote-unquote the best team likely in the AFC in terms of having some playoff experience and a team that's been there. But they're going to have to go on the road, number one. And if Josh Allen is not healthy, that's going to be a tall order. So if I'm a Buffalo fan, I'm a little concerned today.
Yeah, it's probably the best in disguise, actually, that they lost and the Pats won this week to the division. So pretty much next week's meaningless for the most part outside of seeding. But the Eagles here, honestly, I think it's a huge win because they are pretty much essentially locked in the 3 seed. I mean, they needed some help to even have a chance to get 2. But, that's still a big win. They didn't bench any starters. They all played all 60 minutes of the game yesterday. Tough environment. They've had the toughest schedule in the league by far. And that's a big win for a team that needs some juice getting into the playoffs. I still think the Eagles, it's going to sound really weird because they're the Super Bowl champs. They're kind of on the radar still because people look at the Rams, the NFC, the Seahawks. Now the Niners are red hot now. The Eagles are still alive, guys. They are not to be played with. And it's still, to me, in my opinion, the best roster when they all on all cylinders, the best roster in football. So I think the Eagles, that was actually a bigger win than people get credit for, honestly.
Yeah, Noah was texting us last night. His points about the game were the Eagles' defense is for real and that Josh Allen is still good, but he will never be my main, whatever that's supposed to mean.
He's Jalen Hurts through.
I mean, I think because Josh Allen, he got married and now he's having a kid. Noah's kicked him to the curve. But congratulations to the Eagles fans. Now let's talk about the game that I know we're going to have a lot to talk about.
Oh, boy.
The Pittsburgh Steelers, they lost to the Browns. Obviously, they were without DK Metcalf, and now it's a matchup on Sunday night. They just moved the game to the primetime Sunday night game, the Ravens at Steelers, and that is for the AFC North title. How did we feel about yesterday's game, Pat?
Well, I mean, it might come to a shock to people, but I'm not surprised at all. If you look, again, I've been watching the Steelers my whole life, and I've been watching them since Mike Tomlin's been the coach. There is a certain pattern that has revealed itself over the last 20 years. We do not win in Chicago. We do not win in Cleveland. We win in Detroit. We don't. If the Raiders were playing in Oakland, we would not win there. There's certain teams and places that we do not win. We just don't. This is one of them. We're 1-6-1 now. The last 8 games in Cleveland against Cleveland teams that were actually much worse than the one yesterday. So that game didn't surprise me one iota. Now, if you're a Steeler fan, and I know you think, everybody goes with we look great against Detroit. I had some people, Super Bowl bound. I'm like, guys, please, for the love of God. And then yesterday, people are like, I'm in shock watching this. I can't believe. I'm like, again, don't be surprised at all next week if the Steelers win this game. If they beat the Ravens, don't be surprised. And then the next week when they play Houston or the Chargers or the Bills, get absolutely creamed. That would be the pattern that we watched. If you watch these Steeler games like I have for the last 15 years, that's the pattern. So please don't get too high or too low. Wouldn't surprise me at all if the Steelers win next week and then get shellacked in the playoffs like they've done, and everyone's like, all right, well, we won the division, and blah, blah. No. I mean, like I said, I got off this treadmill a long time ago. Unless change happens, it's just going to be the same thing. You're going to have the same thing if Mike Tomlin's the coach next year, whoever the quarterback is, and we're playing in Cleveland, it's a loss. You don't have to even watch the game. So I'm not like apoplectic or angry or anything like that. But if you do look at this just from a standpoint of, I don't know how this team transformed itself. The Buffalo game where they looked absolutely horrendous, to me looked like they gave up, to then the next week going into Baltimore, which at that time Baltimore still had all their players and everything else, and win that game. That makes no logical sense. None. I don't know how Mike Tomlin gets that team up for certain games like that, and then they go on a little 3-game winning streak and look really good doing it, and then you show up yesterday against a team that's won 2 games, 3 games, whatever it is, has not won in over a month, hasn't even really looked super competitive, and that's the game you display. So, I speak, I know, for a lot of Steeler fans. It's just incredibly frustrating because it was all right there. You win that game, you don't have to play anybody this week. You get effectively a bye week, and then you can mentally get ready for the playoffs. But we never do anything in any way the easy way. It's always got to be, now we got to show up, have everybody play Sunday night, and hope that, I don't know what the crowd's going to be, to tell you the truth. I don't know if this crowd's going to be like, yeah, let's do it, because again, they they know sort of what's coming in the playoffs. So it's like, is it better just to lose now and not suffer through the humiliation of the playoffs? I know I sound ridiculous because it is true. Once you get into the playoffs, a lot of things can happen. And they did look good for those 3 weeks. They didn't even look like the same team that's been playing all year. But if history repeats itself, I just think it's going to be more of the same. So I'm not super upset about the game because, again, I didn't expect them to win there. They don't play well there. But going into this week, I know everybody's sort of down and, well, this is horrible. This would not shock me at all if we play really well on Sunday night and win the game, and then everyone's like, now we're into the playoffs and blah, blah, and then you show up against Houston or whoever it's going to be and don't look like you're ready to play and blah, blah, blah. So I've said this a lot. I hope I'm wrong, but I've watched them a lot, and this is just follows a pattern.
You literally said on the show last week that because you picked Green Bay to win last week.
I did, but I said if they lost.
Exactly. You literally, and I thought about you the entire time. It's like, oh, boy. So Baltimore did pull off the miracle in Lambeau. I'm like, watching this game, I'm thinking about you the entire game, like, oh, my, he's probably having a conniption. But, this is where also you watched the game yesterday. Now this is where the DK incident may cost you guys. Because they could have sure used him yesterday. They couldn't get no separation yesterday in receivers. Aaron Rodgers, not for nothing, like he had a decent stretch the last couple of weeks, but he looked old yesterday. Like he looked like he couldn't move. He was throwing the ball. And I know it's the Browns defense. They're actually a very, very great defense, despite the record. But we could be seeing the last Aaron Rodgers game next week before he retires. So I don't know. We'll obviously preview the games a little bit. I don't know where to go with this game, honestly, next week because is Lamar even playing next week, first and foremost? Let's start there. But honestly, I was not surprised after what happened on Saturday. I was like, this is going to be set up for AFC North showdown in Week 18. You just have to have it. And Cleveland is, yeah, you're right. It's a house of horrors for you guys. I don't get. It's weird. It's one of those weird matchups that no matter how bad they are, they always give you guys issues. And every team has that team. They always have. The Giants had with the Eagles for years. No matter how bad the Eagles are, the Eagles always gives problems. So it's going to be a wacky Week 18. That's for damn sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And shout out to King Hendry with the 4-touchdown game on Saturday. They're definitely going to need him to perform well again this Sunday night.
John Harbaugh actually realized, hey, if I give him the ball, I might win some football games.
Nice.
What a concept, right?
Exactly.
Jeez.
And that's definitely one of the games of the week coming up this week. They moved it to the 8:20 Sunday night game, and that's Ravens at Steelers for the AFC North. Now let's talk about some more teams. There's 3 teams that have clinched in their division. That's the Patriots, the Broncos, and the Bears. Can you see any of those teams in the big game, Pat?
Oh, absolutely. I think, the Pats are probably, or the Broncos, one of them is going to be the number 1 seed. If you have the number 1 seed, that is a tremendous, I don't think people understand what the advantage is. First of all, you don't have to play an extra game, and then the games you do have are going to be at home. So, again, New England should be a big advantage with the weather and everything. Same thing with Denver. Same thing with Chicago. If you have those seeds, those high seeds, that's a tremendous advantage. That's why the Patriots, I think, when Tom Brady was there, were so good. They were good anyway, but they got to not play one game that everybody else had to play, and they got to play all their games for the most part at home. That's a huge, I think, advantage in the NFL, almost more so than other sports. But it doesn't mean you can't go into a place and win. With all 3 of these teams, the thing I will say for a quote unquote veteran team that goes in and plays, those teams don't have any veteran or past experience that they can build on. If this was Tom Brady Pats, I'd be like, yep, this is over. They're going to the Super Bowl, but it's not. Drake May and Bo Nix and Caleb Williams all still have things to prove. So it wouldn't shock me if some team like Buffalo, if Allen's healthy, goes on a run and wins 3 games on the road and ends up in the Super Bowl. That could happen this year. But those are big things for those teams because this is part of their eventual evolution that if the Pats, Broncos, and Bears continue, they'll use whatever happens this year as a measuring stick for them in the next few years as they gain some experience in the playoffs.
Yeah, the theme of this podcast last 8 weeks has been environment. Obviously the Pats and Broncos are yes because the AFC, as we said, all 7 teams, including the Steelers and the Ravens, who wins the division, are all live now. So by default, Pats and Broncos, yes, are capable of going to the Super Bowl, and especially with the number 1 seed on the line next week, that gives you a shortcut to Santa Clara next week. Bears, no shot, because I think and not to do with the Bears necessarily, but more to do with the NFC itself. San Fran's too good. Seattle's too good. Philly's still really good. And you have a lot of really, really good teams in the NFC. So Yeah, it's all about the environment, man, for me. But, like, these quarterbacks are something to prove. But I'll tell you what, man, I am starting to really become a Drake May truther. I watch this kid play. He's all business. He's very efficient with football. I'm not going to compare him to Tom Brady because that's obviously, a long way to go for that one. But Drake May, that kid, I watch him. And I know it's the Jets, but I watched him just make some throws on the ball yesterday. I'm like, wow, how's he do it? On the money, too. It's amazing. So.
Yep, talking about Florida news when it comes to football. The Fens beat the Bucks. Noah, his exact words were, "Faker Mayfield is who I said he was." So now it puts together a matchup that starts the week, which is it's a fun way the NFL did this. They start the week with a meaningful game and end it with a meaningful game because the Panthers at Tampa Bay at 4:30 on Saturday, and that is for the NFC South. How did we feel about this game, Pat?
Yeah, I have more faith in Baker than Noah does, although I can't disagree with what's happened in the last half of the season. Tampa's just gone completely in the toilet, which is very surprising to me. I know they've had some injuries and things like that, but everybody does. And Baker has not looked good. He was an MVP candidate when they were 6-2 or whatever, and now they're like, well, do we have somebody else we can put in there? I still think you got to trust that it's something will kick in with him because he looked so good for the first half of the season. I think if Tampa loses this game, and they certainly could, man, I don't know where this franchise goes at this point. You had everything lined up and basically had to win one game, in the last like 7 or 8 that they've had against some really bad teams, and especially at home. And they couldn't do it. So if they lose this game at home to Carolina's a decent team, but I don't think they're world beaters. Man, I don't know where this franchise goes after this because I don't know what the situation with Baker in terms of his contract and that kind of stuff. But what do you do? What do you do with this at that juncture? Like it's like we had everything. They're sort of like Indianapolis, but Indianapolis had injuries that especially their quarterback. That Tampa hasn't had that. So aside from complete collapse, I just don't know where you go after this if they lose that game.
You talk about Mike McDaniel's job security. We got to talk about Todd Bowles' job security now because some of these losses are like inexplainable. Like the Atlanta loss 3 weeks ago, the loss last week. Obviously, this week is Miami. I guess a Dolphins team who's not playing Tua, Quinn Ewers. Come on. So I think hot take here. I think next week Todd Bowles is coaching for his coaching life here. At this point, if he loses the game, I think he's cooked. I'm not hearing anything from rumors or dirt sheets. I just have a vibe. It's just a vibe because if you saw his rant 3 weeks ago after the Atlanta loss, Todd Bowles is a very mellow, demure guy, not very loud, very boisterous. But he like 8 F-bombs in like a 30-second span. That's not like him. So there is some pressure there to some degree. This has been a team that's won the division, 4 years in a row, I believe. So there are some expectations here. And look, if they win next week, they can certainly make it 5 years in a row. But from where they were week 8, MVP talk about Baker Mayfield. But for the record, this is not his fault that why they're this bad. They had a lot of injuries. But now they're healthy now. So what's the excuse this time? So I think he's coaching for his job next week, honestly. And to boot, I watched Carolina yesterday. I don't understand how they have 8 wins. I don't understand. They're not that good. I don't get it. It makes no sense to me how they're doing this.
Carolina looks okay some games and they win.
Right.
And then there's other games. They look absolutely awful.
Yes.
Like that game yesterday, it was 3-3 for a while. And then it was just sort of like Seattle decided to turn it on, and Carolina had absolutely no response at all.
I have a tier system on my podcast. Like they're my weird old team of the year. The Silver. I don't get it. They're a weird team. Ask McDaniel. I think he's back next year. Yeah, barring the GM situation. Here's the problem with the Dolphins, real quick. I mean, obviously we'll touch on this later, probably next week. They have a lot of work to do with that cap. That salary. I don't know if you guys saw the numbers that came out last week on Tua and what if they cut him before June 1st. They take a $99 million cap hit. That is a record. And for the record, they're already over like 40-some million over the cap before you even dress the Tua situation. So whoever GM comes in there and takes over for Chris Greer has a lot of work to do. So I don't know if Mike McDaniel will be part of that transition, but we'll see how that plays out in the coming weeks.
Yeah, Mike McDaniel will still have a job, Pat.
Boy, that's a tough question. I think they were looking to get rid of him after this year, but again, if they win next week, what's their record going to be?
8-9 again, like last year.
That's like you're on that borderline of are we really getting better, or are we just sort of treading water here? And my big thing with that team is, again, like I always say about the Steelers, you got to look at the division. Now you got the Patriots, which are clearly an ascending team. Buffalo, which is good, but if they get a couple more parts, Allen's still young enough that they can be good for another 5 to 7 years. And the Jets are the Jets. So we got to, if we're the Dolphins, we got to compete against Buffalo and New England, and we got to find a quarterback, and we got to do a bunch of other stuff. Is a new coach going to come in and do anything other than maybe give us an initial lift? But long term, what do we got to combat those two teams that we're going to have in front of us? That's the tough question with Mike McDaniel. I just you've had 5 years of him. I don't know if this is enough to say, yeah, whatever he's got is not going to help us overcome those two guys. Let's get somebody else in here.
Right.
I think he's probably in trouble. But if they certainly win next week, and Ross might be like, hey, we're going to roll it again, roll out again with him, maybe with the thought like, hey, we're going to get a quarterback, and maybe he'll be better with a different quarterback.
If you asked me in November, I would have said 9 or 10, panic meter. Now it's probably about a 5 or a 6 now. But again, whoever takes over as head coach and GM, because of Miami's financial restrictions right now, currently with the Tua contract, the Tyreek Hill contract. And it's a mess. I did a deep dive this weekend about their entire salary cap. It is a mess coming up. They need a runway. They need a coach and a GM that's going to be given a lot of leash to fix this, because this is going to be a long-haul rebuild, most likely. So look out, Miami fans. It might be a dark 2 or 3 years.
Yep. So Pat called it about, I want to say it was like a month and a half ago. He said that the Chiefs and the Lions were not going to make the playoffs. Lions had a tough loss the other day against the Minnesota Vikings. Now the Lions are out. The Chiefs are out. We're going to give Pat a pat on the back on this one.
I also said Miami was going to run the table and make the playoffs. So
we knew that was just a joke, though. But still,
sort of.
How do we feel about the Lions going forward?
My thing about both those teams was, when you're performing at a high level for a fairly long time, like the Chiefs were, haven't missed an AFC Championship game in like 8 years. That's staggering if you think about it. When the bottom goes out with teams like that, to stay on the top, it's such a grind. You're playing extra games. You got everybody's best shot every game you play. The media starts turning on you after a while, where you become like, hey, this is fun. They're the new guys, and then after a while it's like, oh, we don't want to see Mahomes anymore. So in a weird way, you get some negative vibes from the media and outside sources that are just saying, hoping you lose because no one wants to keep seeing you win. So you're fighting all that. It's a constant battle to stay at the top. And when that ends, when a couple things, instead of winning 11 one-score games last year, you lose most of those this year. When that little edge goes, it can go very quickly. And I remember it happened with the Steelers in 1980. We just won the Super Bowl the year before, and we had some injuries, but our guys all got old at the same time. And it was just like, even with Chuck Noll and the system in place and guys that know what it takes to win. I remember we had a couple games against just teams in that year that we would have absolutely waxed the year before, 2 years before that, and they gave us games or they won the game. San Francisco, I think, was one with the young Joe Montana. They came into Pittsburgh and won, and I'm like, oh my God, we would never lose at home to them. So those little things start happening, and then sometimes the bottom just lets out, and that's what I think happened with Kansas City. Now, Mahomes getting injured didn't help, but this was going to happen, I think, anyway. Detroit, not nearly on the level of Kansas City, but still had their little comet moonshot, a couple of years ago, and they're up big against San Fran, and it's right there. They got the game right there, and they just couldn't get over that hump. And then all the expectations now, just like Washington had this year, all these expectations start, coming to the forefront. And so you got all the players, you got everything, but you've got a stigma in Detroit of never being able to win a big game, never being able to get there. And that's, again, so tremendously hard to overcome that. And when they didn't get it done next year, I said this about Buffalo too. I'm like, where do they go now? They did everything. They had all the momentum. They have all the players in place. The coaching's great. The fans are into it. Everybody wants, the media wants to see them do it because they have never done it, and they couldn't get it done. I was just like, even with all the talent they have, and they still have a ton of talent, it's hard to just keep getting yourself like, all right, we're going to do it this year. And I think that's what happened with the Lions. Plus, they're in a tough division, but They could be back. Both those teams could be back. Like I said, I think you're going to have a little bit of a lull here for Kansas City, maybe 2 or 3 years. Mahomes is young enough that they can gear things up again for him, but it's going to take a little time. And Detroit, I don't know. Dan Campbell might be one of those guys, like he can get you for like a 3 to 5 year period, but then, going for it on every fourth down and all the kind of trick plays and things that he does, maybe that wears out after a finite amount of years. So Detroit might have a little bit different way to go because they still haven't done it, and they haven't done it with these players. There's still a tremendous amount of talent there.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
That division is tough. Chicago's going to be good. Green Bay is going to be good. Minnesota, I don't know what's going
frisky.
on with them.
They're still frisky.
So you're in a tough division. I think Detroit might need a reset. But you've seen New England do it. You've seen Denver do it. You've seen teams that are able to reset really quickly. Maybe that'll happen with Detroit. I just don't know what's going to happen with the coaching there. So that's the thing with that.
It goes like what I said before the year started. Like, when you lose both your coordinators on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, that's big.
It's going to cost you something.
Sure.
Now, I didn't think it would cost you a playoff spot. I thought, because remember, you went 15-2 last year in the regular season. Okay, so 11-6, okay, fine, but you're still a playoff team. But you're 8-8 right now. That's a massive regression there. I think what I said last week on the podcast. Like, I think the honeymoon is over for Dan Campbell. I'm not saying he's on the hot seat, not even close. But you lose the coordinators. Now you're a little bit exposed a little bit now. So now, how do you pivot next? I think, to your point, Pat, there is a window for a coach like Dan Campbell that the rah-rah guy is great, but you got to produce results, and you're going to continue moving in a direction. Now you're regressing now. Jared Goff's future, who knows? He's still a quarterback next year, but beyond that, we'll see how that plays out. But they have a good enough roster to get things turned around. But Dan Campbell now, honeymoon's over. The going for the fourth down every time you have a chance. That's gotten a little old now because it's cost you some games this year too also. So I think Detroit right now is in that kind of that middling, okay, where to? They're still a really good team. They have a great roster still a scary team, but they're in that spot now where, like, okay, we can turn things around next year, or this can get really bad really fast. And history tells us that Detroit, it goes bad really fast. So we'll see.
Yeah, talking about another team that fell apart, obviously because of injuries. The Colts started off the season 7-1 and now are out of the playoffs. Obviously, losing Indiana Jones was a huge hit to them. What does a franchise like that do now, Pat?
Yeah, I mean, I think they chalk this up to just that you can't afford to lose your quarterback like that. Plus, Richardson hurt himself with some freak eye injury, so you didn't even have your sort of 1A quarterback available. And when you're going now, you got to bring Phillip Rivers back from the grave.
Literally,
all that's going to be tough. That's going to really be tough to overcome. I give them a lot of credit because I don't think they quit. They played pretty tough in a lot of these games the second half of the year. But when your general is gone, your field general is gone, that is really hard to overcome. And I think they'll be back. I mean, I'm assuming that Daniel Jones will be able to come back, and then I don't know what they're going to do with Richardson, but they'll have a better draft pick now, and they just got to understand that this was an injury-riddled season that they have to try and do a reset. Yeah. But the vibes are still good from that start. And now you got to just see if you can carry that over for next year.
Yeah, I'm less worried about the Colts and with the Lions. The Colts, that's chalked up to injuries more than anything else. And I think the Daniel Jones thing, the timetable, it's like Mahomes, the timetable, because he got hurt late in the year too also. So will he be back in time for camp? And if they can't get him back in time for camp, who's the quarterback? Are we really going to do Rivers again another at least starting year? Who knows? But I'm less worried about the Colts moving forward. They have a really good roster. I like Shane Steichen's a really good coach. And also the fact that, look, even without Daniel Jones, they were competitive still. They should be in Seattle 2 weeks ago. They almost won the game this week. So, I'm less about the Colts right now because I still think they have the players in place. You have Jonathan Taylor, who's at one point MVP candidate. So I think next year the Colts, depending on whoever the quarterback is next year, because Daniel Jones is due a lot of money also too. He's a free agent. So we'll see how that plays out. But, yeah, and that's what about the Colts and about the Lions.
So last night, if you caught it, I was already in bed, but the 49ers beat the Bears in a thriller. I know Pat has always been high on the 49ers. The 49ers are now heading into the playoffs on a high right now. Do you think this team could be in the Super Bowl?
Oh, I think this team's winning the Super Bowl. I really do. Absolutely.
Hot take.
Ding, ding. I mean, they were out. They're talking that the linebacker, Fred Warner might play.
What?
I mean, they're talking. He was saying before the game, he's like, I'm going to try to play, like, if they make it to the Super Bowl. and Kittle was out last night. That's another big factor. But I think the thing for me with the 49ers is they are what I consider a complete team. That Purdy can run it. He can give it to McCaffrey. There were a couple tight ends there I never even heard of that had decent games last night because he's able to distribute the ball to a bunch of different guys. And their defense is still pretty good. And they're just so well coached. Now Shanahan's going to have to overcome the factor of not being able to win a Super Bowl the other couple times I think he's got there. But that team, to me, is playing the best football right now. Listen, Chicago threw everything at them. They got a pick six on a freak bounce right off the bat. Mm-hmm. And the mark of a good team is that didn't matter at all. They marched right down the field and scored a touchdown. Yep. I said San Fran's winning this game. Now, Chicago, I will give them a ton of credit because they didn't wilt. San Francisco, they were going matching each other for touchdown. This will bode well for Chicago, maybe not this year, but in the future, because Caleb Williams is finally figuring out how to play quarterback, and I love that coach. I think he's an excellent coach, and he fits that program really well. Chicago's going to be a team to be reckoned with in the years, especially if they get a couple more pieces to help him. But they didn't back down. That game will help Chicago in the long run. Maybe not this year, but that showed them, especially if San Fran goes on it to win the Super Bowl, that'll show them that, hey, we hung with the Super Bowl champs, for most of a game on the road whenever no one expected us to win. So I give Chicago a ton of credit, but San Fran, to me, is rounding into the type of team, especially if they win this week, which I think they'll beat Seattle, and have that number one seed, again, tremendous, as opposed to being the number 5 and having to go on the road and play 3 games on the road to 2 games at home. And actually, the Super Bowl's in San Fran, so they might have 3 straight games at home. I don't see – the Eagles are going to be tough. There's some other teams in the NFC, but I don't see anybody in the AFC matching up with San Fran right now. I think they're winning the Super Bowl.
So I missed the NFC West preview back in August when we did it because I was in New York. But I, like Pat, was big on the Niners solely because of the schedule, because the schedule's easy. But what is so many this team now, especially too, is the way they played this year. They pretty missed more than half the year. Okay, yeah. Mac Jones held the fort down. They still played well. Fred Warner's been gone since week 6. That's arguably the best player on the team. Okay, George Kittle's has been in and out. He didn't play last night, and they're still in this spot right now. And yet, I'm still apprehensive to say they are the favorites when the NFC or win the championship. But this has been a phenomenal season for the Niners. This is why I said Kyle Shanahan should be coach of the year or in the conversation next to Mike Vrabel. So and not for nothing. Look, Brock Purdy's a good quarterback, but I've never been a big Purdy guy. This stretch the last couple weeks though is really sold me on him. I'm like, whoa. He's doing this now with diminished weapons now. He's not doing it with the Debos of the world, on the Ayuks and all this stuff. Now he's doing it with lesser guys, and he's still getting the job done. And Kittle's out, and he's still finding ways to win the game. So I'm sold on Purdy. And by the way, Purdy also has experience ready. He played in the Super Bowl 2 years ago. So this Niners team is scary. They are very scary. And, Kyle Shanahan has got to figure it out to get over the hump. He might be our modern-day Martin Schottenheimer until he wins it all. We'll see. But this team is very, very scary. And out of nowhere, no one – we'll talk about the Rams and the Seahawks and the Eagles all year about number 1 seed. Niners just keep plugging along. And right now, they win this week, the number 1 seed. And no one called that.
Yeah, I think one of the major things is I don't think anybody thought Christian McCaffrey could stay healthy all year long.
That too.
I think that's been a huge thing for the 49ers. But I'm with Pat. I think they could go all the way. Now let's run over the playoff picture right now. The Broncos are obviously in. They clinched the AFC West. Patriots are in. Jaguars have clinched a berth. The Steelers obviously have to beat the Ravens on Sunday night. Houston has clinched a wild card. So have the Chargers, and so have the Buffalo Bills. Out of all those teams in the AFC, Pat, who do you think is going to the big game?
I still think Buffalo, assuming Josh Allen can get healthy. If his foot – and you guys know this, when your feet are screwed up, that affects everything. It affects your balance, your ability to throw on the run, everything. So and with him especially, because running is such a big part of his game, if he really can't do that effectively, Cook's good, but otherwise they have a bunch of no-names, tight end and receivers. So this really has been Josh Allen's team to me. I'm only picking them because, again, the experience factor that they have. All these other teams in the AFC, virtually all of them, I can't think of anybody that has a ton of, playoff experience. Now, you have individual players like Aaron Rodgers or whoever that have experience, but the whole team not necessarily does. Now, if the Ravens get in, I would throw them in there too, because again, at this point they're playing with house money. There should be no pressure on them to do anything, and if they can feed Derrick Henry and he can stay upright, they might be able to run their way to the Super Bowl, because this will be the first year they really don't have a ton of pressure on them because no one will expect anything out of them. But other than that, all these other teams, because of the inexperience factor with all of them, Jacksonville, Denver, New England, Houston, they're all new to this game in a sense. Sure, they could get hot like Washington did last year. No expectations, and they play loose, and they win a couple games maybe they shouldn't. But if you're going to look at a true team to come out of this that has some experience, Buffalo would be the team for me. And if Baltimore makes it, I'd probably put them in there at number 2. But New England's going to have an advantage, or Denver, whoever has the number 1 seed, they're going to have the advantage of having that ability to play at home. But that doesn't mean anything in the playoffs. Things can happen with experienced teams, and they can come in there and knock them off. So if you're betting on the AFC right now, you could literally bet 1 through 7, and any of those teams that made it would not shock me.
Yeah, again, this is the most wonderful AFC we've seen in generations. It's a crapshoot to pick a team. It's a crapshoot. It really is. I'll say this much, though. Keep an eye on the Texans. Keep an eye. They do have some experience a little bit. C.J. Stroud, 2 years in this third year, has a playoff win in each year. So he has some experience already. Not quite Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, or Aaron Rodgers, but there's some experience there. But that defense is good. That was an impressive win on Saturday against the Chargers on the road. And C.J. Stroud's playing good football, too, on top of that. So keep an eye on the Texans. That's a team that does not need home field advantage to get to Santa Clara. Just saying.
Yeah, I had a feeling you were going to say the Texans. I also like the Texans because of that defense. Now let's move on to the NFC. We have the Seahawks have already clinched a berth. The Eagles are in. The Bears obviously won their division. Carolina has to beat Tampa Bay. That's the first game this week. Niners are already in. Rams are already in. And so are the Packers. We know you've talked about the 49ers. Anybody else that's coming out of the NFC?
Well, I mean, anybody in that division, is really good. Here's the funny thing. I think if you put virtually, except for Tampa and Carolina, I think if you put any of the other 5 teams in the AFC, they would be the clear favorite to win the AFC.
I agree.
Any of them. I think in a way it's a shame that 49ers, Seahawks, and Rams are in the same division, because they're probably the 3 best teams in football right now, and they're in the same damn division. So I think, like I just said, because I think 49ers are going to have home field advantage, I think they're going to make it to the Super Bowl. But except for Tampa and Carolina, it's sort of the same thing. Any of those other 2 teams could make it. Green Bay's, because they're dealing with some injury issues, and Jordan Love, you just don't know what you're going to get out of him, is probably more of a stretch. But Chicago could certainly make a surprise run. There's no pressure on him. I like the play calling that Ben Johnson does, and he certainly has been around long enough that he, I think, knows matchups well, that he could probably give somebody a game over there. But I think it's going to be San Fran, but if not, somebody else from that same division is probably going to make it.
The problem is the matchups. We don't know where the seedings. The AFC's fairly clean, like the teams outside the Steelers and Ravens situation. We kind of know for the most part who's the number 1 seed. Kind of know. Like some things have to happen this week to change things around. The NFC's a little bit of a mess in terms of seeding, though, because Seahawks lose, Niners win, the number 1 seed, and they fall to what, 5 or 6? I don't know. Like the Rams are live. I mean, everybody's live. I'll tell you what, though, not to glaze them again because I can't stand them. You know I hate them. But the Eagles, they're playing good at the right time, and they have the experience. You're talking about experience. This is important here. They can win anywhere. So I'm going to go Philadelphia still just because they're just that good. And then I think they've gotten past the issues they had about a month ago. And, I'll go Eagles.
Okay. No, I'm a big Rams guy, but I agree with Pat on this one too. I think somebody coming out of that division is going to win the Super Bowl this year. But now we're going to move on and go through the games for week number 18. It's going to be a very interesting week. You got to follow along with us because this schedule just really honestly came out last night because they did some moving around and switching some games. So we're going to start with the Carolina Panthers at Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and that's going to be Saturday at 4:30. And the early line on that game is the Bucs are going to be favored by 3 points.
Yeah, I got to go Tampa just because it's in Tampa, and Carolina is so schizophrenic. Tampa has to put just through luck, has to put a good game together here at some point. And because they're at home, I got to figure, they have to win this game. But if they don't, man, oh, man, I don't know where this team goes after this, because that's a catastrophic loss, collapse the last half of this year. So there's going to be a lot of questions if Tampa can't get this done. I'm taking Tampa, but again, I wouldn't bet this game to save my life.
I said it earlier in the podcast. Like, this is Todd Bowles' job right here. So they better win. And I Carolina, again, I don't get it. I'll take Tampa. They have a better roster. They better win this game, man. I mean, they just have to, right? Have to.
Yeah.
Give me Tampa.
Yeah, I feel like Tampa's got their weapons right now. They got Mike Evans. They got Godwin. They got the young guy. I mean, I think that they have the weapons. They have the home field advantage. I'm taking the Bucs here. Now, the only other Saturday game is that's going to be a good one, too. Seahawks at 49ers. 49ers are favored right now by 1.
This might be the Sam Darnold ghost game. We have one of those every year where, he throws to different guys and all that kind of stuff. Seattle is a really good team. Don't get me wrong. I think they're an excellent team. Darnold has done a superb job going from Minnesota to this team and making them the juggernaut that they are. But he has a past history of not playing super great in big games. This might be a blowout. I actually think San Fran might beat them and beat them handily. I just think San Fran's playing at a high level right now, and they got all their guys together. If Kittle comes back, they got the whole team basically back. And to go into the playoffs, I think they make a statement win here and win by a couple touchdowns.
This is the Darnold deja vu game, like last year. Last year against the Lions on Monday Night Football, Sunday Football rather, Week 18, winning with the number 1 seed. Back here, different location, same scenario. Can you close it out? I'm going to go San Francisco here. I just think they're playing well. They're getting healthier. Warner might play for the playoffs, you said, too, also. There's something percolating there in San Francisco that's different. And and to boot also, too, the Super Bowl's being played in Santa Clara, so they may not have to leave at all through February. So I'll take San Francisco. They're playing good. This is nothing against Seattle. Seattle's playing good football, too, as well. But, again, until I see Sam Darnold win the big game, this is the deja vu game here for Sam Darnold. Give me Purdy and the boys.
I'm actually taking the Seahawks here, but what a career the last 2 years for Sam Darnold, taking teams all the way to the playoffs. Obviously,
top 10 quarterback right now.
We know what happens. Give it to him. Yeah, when he gets there, we know what happens. But I'm going to take the Seahawks here. Now we're going to move on to Sunday's games. We're going to start off with the Packers at the Vikings, where the Vikings are favored by 6.5.
My whole thing with virtually all these games next week, with the exception of those first two we talked about, and the Steelers-Ravens game, is do they really mean anything?
No.
Do these games, like the whole slate here?
No.
Do these games really mean? I know there's some seeding things maybe, but I mean, if this game doesn't really mean anything to Green Bay, they're not going to risk playing anybody.
No.
So I'm taking. This might be another week I take all the home teams. I'm going to take Minnesota here because I don't think this game really means anything to Green Bay.
No, Green Bay's in the playoffs. It's like losing on Saturday. Jordan Love had concussion protocol still. If I'm the Packers, you rest them. Why would you even play him right now? Because they are pretty much locked in the 7th seed in the NFC. So I'll take Minnesota here.
Yeah, I think Oliver's going to take Minnesota. Obviously, the line shows that Vegas doesn't think that the Packers are going to play their guys. So I'm taking Minnesota at home. Now we're moving on to Cleveland at Cincinnati. Cincinnati's favored by 7.5.
Yeah, I love this. I should have done my homework a little bit more and looked at what Cleveland does after they beat us in Cleveland the next week, because I have a feeling they get shellacked generally. This game, now, Myles Garrett's still trying to get the sack thing, so I think if they get that early, then they got nothing else to play for at that point. I'm taking Cincinnati, since Burrow's been back, has really been putting up some points. So I think Cincinnati wants to go out again like they did last year on a high and beat Cleveland to a pulp. So I think this will be a big win for them.
It makes you think also, too, if Burrow was healthy this year, and given how the AFC North has played out, Bengals are in this race probably with the Ravens and the Steelers.
Absolutely.
Probably leading it. Who knows? Because that's the one thing what the Bengals will say the last couple of weeks is watching Burrow play has been the great thing to watch right at this point. Bengals win this game in a blowout.
Yeah, I'm the only one taking the Browns here. I think that the team's going to come together, just try to get Myles Garrett that the historic sack. But I'd feel bad for Joe Burrow here because I think he's going to get him at some point. Now we're going to move on to the Colts at the Texans, where the Texans are favored by 10.5.
Again, can Houston improve anything by winning this game? If they can't, they're not going to play anybody. So I would take Indy in this game, assuming that Houston is kind of locked in where they're at. And I still think Indy is trying to win a game. I just don't think they want to end the season losing 7 of 8 or whatever this collapse is. So I would take Indy in this game. If the game means anything to Houston, though, I mean anything, and they play guys, then I would take Houston. But otherwise, I'm taking Indy in this one.
Well, Houston can still win the South, actually, but they need, obviously, help. They need a Jacksonville loss, I think, to make that happen.
And who's Jacksonville
They're
playing? Tennessee.
Ugh.
So I don't think that's going to happen.
Right. So,
but maybe Houston plays at least for some of this game.
And look, we told the wide open AFC. I think this is something for Houston too. Also, you want to keep that 5 seed right now because there's a world, Pat, and you agree with this also. There's a world where all top 4 seeds are out by late January.
Sure.
And
I
all of a sudden, AFC title game is now playing in Houston. So there is something to play for, honestly, in this game. So I'm going to take Houston in this one.
Yeah, I'm taking Houston here also. Now moving on to a game that means nothing. That is the Cowboys at the Giants. The Cowboys are favored by 5.
Well, Ernest knows this. The Giants have to screw up to getting the number 1 pick every year like they did yesterday by beating. So this game, they'll completely go in the shell and not win. I'll take Dallas here just because the Giants usually follow up that big win game to get them out of the number 1 seed for the draft, and then really tank the last game. So I'll take Dallas in this one.
Yeah, Dallas is playing on the starters still. Dak played. I didn't see 1 minute of that game for the record on Thursday, but Dak still played. I imagine they'll still play their guys just for vibes, I guess. The Cowboys have owned the Giants the last 7-8 years, and I don't see it stopping now. Honestly, give me the Cowboys.
Yeah, I'm taking the Cowboys, but I wanted to thank you for that Giants win yesterday.
You guys hold on. You guys are tanking.
No, God, we're tanking. We're not even we're worse than tanking.
Max Crosby, you can go home now.
How about they put him on IR? He does not want. He wants to play, so he puts a video up of him playing basketball to basically give the finger to his own organization.
And I love it.
I actually like that.
I love it. I think that's got to watch the offseason now. Who might want to get traded? Just saying.
It's a possibility. Now we're going to move on. I'm going to take Dallas in that game, by the way. Now we're moving on. Saints at Falcons. Falcons are favored in this one.
I think the Falcons will give the Rams a game tonight. I don't think they're going to win, but I think they'll give them a game, and then that'll be it. And New Orleans with Shaw or Schaff or whatever you want to say his name is, he's actually looked pretty good. I think New Orleans is one of those teams that is trying to build something. They're going to try in this game. I'm going to take New Orleans.
Frisky Saints. I said it all year long. They have won 4 in a row. No one's talking about it. Well, obviously, because they're not a good team, but they won 4 in a row. And if you see how the season played out for them this year, there are a lot of games they could have won also this year. Given how the NFC South has played out, they probably could have won as a bitch right now, the way it's playing out right now. Mm-hmm. So I'm just saying, it's a team to look up for in the offseason here. Saints on a roll. Give me the Saints here.
Yeah, I'm actually going to take the Falcons in this one. The line's not out yet because obviously the Falcons are playing tonight. Now moving on to Tennessee at the Jaguars. Jaguars favored by 10.5.
Again, I mean, this game, I guess, like Ernest is saying, Jacksonville technically has to win this to win the division. So,
yeah.
Tennessee, they had that again. You're trying to compare things. They're playing New Orleans, so I mean, but they had that game and just completely gave up. So I can't imagine they have any fight left in them. If this game means a modicum of anything to Jacksonville, Jacksonville should roll over them. I'm taking Jacksonville.
So not only did Jacksonville win the division this game, they are still in the hunt for number 1 seed because they did beat Denver. So if Denver loses, which will be next game, we'll cover in a second. I believe they are in the hunt for number 1 seed. I don't know how it works out between New England and the tiebreakers and all that stuff, but they're definitely in the hunt for number 1 seed. So give me the Jags here to win the South.
Yeah, I'm taking the Jags because obviously we're going to see when we talk about the next game that the Broncos are playing at 4:25. So I think the Jacksonville team is going to try to win this one. Mm-hmm. Again, they're favored by 10.5, and I'm taking the Jaguars. Now we're moving on to the 4:25 games, and we start off with the Chargers at the Broncos. Broncos favored by 7.5.
Yeah, again, I go back to, does this game mean anything to the Chargers? Do they get the 5 seed versus the 7, or does that mean anything to them if they want to be the 5 seed? I just don't think this game means that much to them. That doesn't mean anything in another way, though. If Denver has to win to get the number 1 seed, they're gonna play guys. So I'm gonna take Denver here, but this game, I would not. What is it, 7.5?
7.5.
I'd stay away from this
would
one
too.
if you're betting it. This has too many weird variables that who's going to play, who's not, who's going to play hard, who isn't. I think Denver wins just because they're at home, but this wouldn't surprise me if the Chargers won this game if they needed it. So I would stay away from it. I'm taking Denver, though.
Let me see cheat you real quick because you had the standings real quick. Because I think the Chargers can still get the 5 seed still, technically, even though you lost to Houston on Saturday. So right now they're what? I believe they're 6 in the AFC, right? Currently. So right now the Chargers are 6.
Yeah.
So yes, they can still get the 5 seed. And I just mentioned with Houston, it is a world where the top 4 seeds can lose before the AFC title game. And if that happens and you get the 5 seed, your title games will be played in your neck of the woods.
Yeah.
So this is what we play for here on both ends. For the Chargers seeding, for the Broncos for the number 1 seed. This is a game to watch. This is actually a game to watch, to be honest, this weekend. I'm going to see Denver, though, because they're at home. Don't bet this game, obviously. But this is definitely some stuff here. This is you said it, Pat. The variables are weird, but I'll take Denver in this game. But this could have some implications.
This one, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going to bet on this game, but I am going to pick the Broncos to win it. Now we're going to move on to 2 teams that used to be a rivalry, but really doesn't mean anything right now. Surprisingly, the Chiefs at the Raiders. The Chiefs are going in favored by 6.
Yikes! I'm going to take the Chiefs here just on pedigree alone, and the fact that I really think the Raiders are purposely tanking.
Terrible.
But the Chiefs don't have a quarterback right now, and at least the Raiders are still playing Geno. So, man, oh man, this is a tough one too. Both these teams are really sort of tanking. I can't take the Raiders. I just can't. I'm going to take the Chiefs. But if there's any instance where the Raiders should win a game, this is it. Because they're playing against a team that really doesn't have any personnel anymore. I'm going to take the Chiefs, but this one is another one I would stay away from.
Not for nothing, though. I didn't watch second of the game last Thursday, but the Chiefs get the Broncos a fight with their third-string quarterback. So, I mean, there's something there, I guess, right? Pedigree, to your point. I'll take the Chiefs here because the Raiders, they stink out loud and in silence.
Yeah, I promised on the show I wasn't going to pick the Raiders the rest of the season, and since I've promised that, the Raiders haven't won, and I feel like my life has been so much better since.
Continue to
It really has been great, and I'm not going to pick the Raiders again. I'm taking the Chiefs again, favored by 6. Now we're moving on to a matchup. Was last year's NFC Championship game. It doesn't mean that much this year. We got the Commanders at the Eagles. Eagles favored by 8.
Eagles aren't playing for anything, right? Are they locked in?
So right now they're number 2, right?
Yeah.
Oh, they're number 2.
I think right now. Let me make sure.
They're definitely
maybe
locked in.
Maybe they're 3. Let me see.
Yeah,
Make sure I'm right.
I do think there's a big difference between 2 and 3.
They're still 2.
I think there's a big difference between 2 and 3. So I'm going to take the Eagles here. Not even close. They played extremely well yesterday. By the way, second time this year, the Eagles did not complete a pass in the second half and won the game. There's only 2 other teams in the whole league that have done that the whole year, and the Eagles have 2 of those 4 games.
That's
that
weird
They
stat, bro.
did not complete a pass in the second half and still won the game.
That's a weird stat.
That shows you how
crazy.
good their defense is playing. So I'm jumping all over the Eagles here.
Oh, yeah, that's definitely the case. Because, again, they play for 2 seeds still, really. And, again, is there a world where the number 1 seed could lose divisional weekend? Well, we saw it last year, so who knows? Give me the Eagles here.
Yep, taking the Birds to win big. Now we got Jets at the Bills. Bills favored by 11.
Yeah, I think even if this game didn't mean anything to the Bills, the Jets are in sort of the same class that the Raiders are. They're just really falling apart. That game against New England was an embarrassment. Who's their quarterback now?
I have no idea. I honestly don't know.
It's a kid like I've never even heard of.
Starts
I didn't
with
even
B,
know.
right?
Yeah, I didn't even know like where he went to college or any of that stuff. Like at least I've heard of Quentin Ewers, but this kid I never even heard of him. This line. I mean, I know the Bills are playing for something, but even if they weren't, I think they're going to beat them by 30 points. I just think the Jets are completely checked out. So I'm taking the Buffalo Bills.
Brady Cook.
Brady Cook.
His name is
never
Brady.
even heard of him.
Yeah,
I
never
don't
heard.
even know where he went to
I
college.
think that's
He
a
went
fake name.
to Missouri, I think. It looks like here.
No.
Whatever.
Nothing.
I
Still
don't think
nothing.
So this is going to sound weird because the Bills can still move up in the seeding, but Josh Allen is nicked up, though. He's hurt. I think for the sake of that team and their future for the next couple weeks, you kind of need to probably bench him for a week. Just get them rested up because he can use a rest because they are the team that is way more Josh Allen. They rely more on their quarterback than any other team probably in the league outside maybe Baltimore. So, and plus, I think even without Josh Allen, they can probably beat the Jets. The Jets are just bad. So,
who's Buffalo's backup quarterback?
is it Trubisky?
Trubisky.
Trubisky?
Yeah.
He's awful.
Trubisky?
Yeah, we know that name well.
No, give me the Bills still with or without Josh Allen because the Jets are just that bad.
Yeah, I'm taking the Bills also, again, favored by 11. Now we move on to the Dolphins at the Patriots. Patriots are favored by 10.
I think the Dolphins will actually give them a little bit of a game. I do not think they're going to win 10 points, so it's right on that.
That's a lot of money, a lot of points there.
Yeah, I'm still going to take New England, but this game might be closer than that. The Dolphins are at least playing. I think this is a weather game, too. If the weather's really crappy, that's going to favor New England. So if it's decent, though, I think the Dolphins will at least keep it somewhat close. But I can't bet against the Patriots. They're trying to get the number 1 seed, so they're going to do what they need to do.
Not knowing the exact scenarios, because obviously the Jags are still in that conversation, too, for number 1 seed. But there's a world the Broncos lose this Sunday to the Chargers, and maybe the Patriots get the number 1 seed. We shall see. No doubt they win the game. I mean, but I can see the Dolphins giving them a game because of rivalry, and they're playing hard. They're playing hard for McDaniel right now.
Yeah, if it was in Miami, I think I might have taken the Dolphins in this one, but in New England, I'm taking the Patriots. Now moving on to the Cardinals at the Rams.
Maybe the best player that nobody's heard of this year is Trey McBride, who just had the single-season tight end receptions record.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's actually in the top 5 for another season. And I never even heard of this guy until last couple of weeks. But he must be a hell of a player because he's got the reception record. I'm assuming this game is not going to mean much to the Rams. So I'm still gonna take the Rams, but this is another game. I would just stay away from it. I don't think Arizona stinks. And Brissett's all right. He didn't look great yesterday, but he's okay. He could definitely throw up some yardage there if the Rams aren't really playing hard. What's the spread on this one again, Mike?
We don't have a spread yet because the Rams are playing tonight.
All right, so assume the Rams win tonight, so they're probably like 10-point favorites or something.
Easily.
I'd take the Rams, but I would stay away from this one too.
So the Rams are out of number 1 seed contention. That's official now. Okay.
So can they do anything or
move up? Because right now they're 6, I think, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Mike, they're 6 currently, right?
Yep.
So they can get number 5 still. So they need to win. So they're again, it's still a world where teams can lose early and you can never count it out. I've seen it before. So I'll take the Rams here. I mean, obviously, watch tonight's game. Make sure no one gets hurt. Make sure Stafford is healthy and all that stuff. But beyond that, I have the Rams.
Yeah, I'm taking the Rams, but like Pat mentioned, Trey McBride carried one of my fantasy teams to a second place in fantasy football. So shout out to them, the tight end for the Cardinals on a record-breaking season. Now moving on to the Lions at the Bears, where the Bears are favored by 2.5.
Man, that seems low to me. I do think Detroit's going to try. I don't think they're just going to lay down. I'm going to take the Bears, again, assuming that they're still playing for something.
They are.
So I'm going to take the Bears, but I think the Lions, if that was like 3.5, I might take Detroit, but I don't like 2.5, whatever that seems very low to me. I'm going to take the Bears in that one.
In fact, so they're out of number 1 seed, obviously. But they clinch number 2 with a win. Okay, Philly needs help, actually. So Philly has to win and get help from Chicago to lose also on Sunday to get number 2 seed. So Bears win this game. They get number 1 seed. They smell blood. Detroit's fading. Give me the Bears.
Yep, taking the Bears at home. Now we move on to, in my opinion, the game of the week. This is the one that they kept on the 8:20 docket now because of the excitement of the game, and it means a lot. That is the Ravens at the Steelers, where the Ravens are favored by 3.
Well, don't equate game of the week with a good game. I don't think this is going to be a good game.
I knew that was coming.
I think this is going to be a horrendous, like, turnovers and bad calls. And, by the way, my favorite call yesterday was it was 4th and 1, and we threw a 22-yard fade pattern to our number 6 receiver who's 5'10". Those are the ones where I just go, gotcha, love it. Love that play. So I don't think there's going to be any deviation from that. You're going to see some wacky plays from both teams here. I'm going to take the Steelers because, again, this follows a pattern where just when you think they're dead and gone and, booing's going to happen and all that, they'll find some bizarre way to win this game. So I'm going to take the Steelers, but I do not expect this to be a great game. If Baltimore is smart, which I'm not sure if they are, all you got to do is run Derrick Henry probably 30 times this game, and that might be enough. Even if he gets stopped initially the first few times, if you keep running him, that's their best chance. And in a weird way, I actually think they're better if Huntley plays versus Lamar. Huntley, he's not a superstar or anything remotely like that, but at least he's healthy. And Lamar, in these types of games, this is where he makes those boneheaded, interceptions and things like that. So you might be better off if you're Baltimore and you want to win to play in Huntley here. So I don't view this as being a great game. It might be more high scoring than people think. But I'm taking the Steelers because this is just a game that Mike Tomlin would win.
This is a crapshoot because number one, the biggest question of the week is right now is Lamar even playing this game? That's the first question. We got to figure that out because if he plays, obviously that changes the dynamics of the matchup. But again, it comes down to trust. Who you trust more, Mike Tomlin or John Harbaugh? I've lost faith in John Harbaugh this year. It's been a rough 3 years of seeing him blow big games, because of simple decisions that he does not make or does make. Now he was smart this Saturday, run the rock to Derrick Henry. Mm-hmm. Will he do it again? Who knows? Because that's how John Harbaugh coaches. So I don't know, man. Steelers are at home. This is tough. Here's the thing too. Also, this is where the DK injury, not injury, the suspension really hurts now. He could have been. If DK plays on Sunday against Cleveland, Steelers win that game because he makes at least 1 or 2 plays that change the game. That's it.
I don't know, Ernest. I've watched him a long time. I think you could have Jerry Rice in his prime, and there you are, not winning that game.
It's a Cleveland curse, I guess. I know
it is.
I get it, but it was a game of inches there for them. It was for the taking. You have DK in that game. He makes 1 catch. It's over. But I don't know, man. My heart says Ravens. My head says Steelers. So
okay, I'm going to give you 3 seconds to pick. 3,
Steelers.
2. Okay.
I don't trust John Harbaugh. I just don't.
Okay, I'm taking the Steelers here too. That is all for the division right there, and that's going to be a good game.
Yeah, cannot wait.
Now we're going to move on and talk about Hard Rock Bet and what they got going on. Hard Rock Bet, they have a $10 offer where you put $10 in. You deposit at least $10 and then make a cash wager of $5 or more. And if your first bet wins, you're going to receive $150 in bonus bets. That's still going on right now. That is such a good promotion right there. And that $150 is credited as 6 separate $25 bonus bets. And, one of the cool things is like over the last week, they've been just throwing bonus bets at me. And I actually turned one of their bonus bets into about $100 and cashed out the other day just because, they're just giving you free money. That's why you got to get on to Hard Rock Bet. Go ahead, put your camera on and go over that QR code. Get wagering now with Hard Rock Bet. And when I give you my sports play of the day in a couple minutes, there actually is a big profit boost that are going on right now on Hard Rock Bet also. So get on there now, sign up, and make sure that first bet wins, and you're going to get $150 in bonus bets. And you can go to Hard Rock. You can go to pbkennelclub.com/Hard Rock Bet, and that is offered by the Seminole Tribe of Florida. Got to be 21 and physically present in Florida to wager. Terms and conditions apply. If you're concerned about gambling, call their new number 1-833-PLAY-WISE. Now we're going to talk about fantasy football because fantasy football is coming to an end. So there's a matchup for first place. I won the third place matchup. The third place matchup was against Joey, so I'm locked in at third place. But the winner, the 4th seed, which is my brother, Mr. Krinkle, going against Fire Tomlin, who is John Bunner.
Well,
yeah, I knew Pat. I was waiting for him to see that name. But, of course, John Bunner likes to put that out there. He was the 2nd seed going in. John's going to need Puka to have a big game tonight because he's 20, at least 20 points down on my brother. I don't even know who I'm rooting for in this one, but we're going to see how Puka goes and does tonight. He carried me in another league, so congrats to my brother, Matt Jameson, and John Bunner on making the fantasy championship in our fantasy league, and that's going to come down to the wire tonight to see how many points that Puka Nacua can score.
He might score 20 plus though.
Oh, it's possible.
Good.
He carried me last week with like 48 points.
There you go.
We'll see how that works. And we're just going to touch real fast on college football because
big week.
We've been talking a lot and a lot going on. We have some quarterfinal games. We have coming up December 31st, and 2 days from now, we have Ohio State versus Miami. And that's the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic. Who we picking in that game, Pat?
Yeah, I think the magic runs out for Miami in this one. I'm taking Ohio State. I think Ohio State, Indiana, and Georgia are the three best teams. That's not to say one of these other teams can't jump in there, but I think we're if Indiana gets by this game against Alabama, I think they can take care of Oregon or Texas Tech. And it sets up a Indiana-Ohio State rematch. Georgia's going to be tough, though. I think they're a good team. I'm taking in this game, though. I'm taking Ohio State. Miami might play them good for a half, but I just think Ohio State's too good.
Is this neutral site games or these are in Columbus?
No, these are
This one's
neutral
in
site games.
Dallas.
Yeah,
that means something because I thought initially it would be Columbus because then I said Miami's no chance, but now it's a neutral site game. Anything's possible. I'm taking Ohio State with the game, but this game might be a lot closer people give credit for. So give me Ohio State, but this is easily me best game of the weekend.
I'm taking Ohio State. Now moving on to the New Year's Day games. Texas Tech at Oregon. That is the Capital One Orange Bowl. Who do we have in that one, Pat?
Texas Tech is better than people think. I think they've been one of the under the radar, even though they're ranked pretty high. I like Texas Tech. I think they could give Indiana a real game if they make it to that point. So I'm taking Texas Tech in this one.
Yeah, this is where Oregon always slips up and falls. Like every time you start buying into Oregon, they could be a championship team or play for the chance for the title. They slip up. So give me Tech here.
Yeah, I'm taking Tech also. Now Indiana at Indiana versus Alabama, that is, in the Rose Bowl game.
All right, these two games left are more hope games for me than what I actually think might happen. I really hope Indiana wins. I'm done with Alabama. Them and Ohio State I'm just sick of. But
me too.
I'm going to take Indiana, but again, it's almost more hope. I think Alabama can give them a game. This is the big one for Indiana. They get through this game, they get a taste of it, they're in the playoff and all that stuff. Then they can maybe get to the national championship game. But this is going to be a tough one. They got to bring their A game, and we'll see what kind of coach Cignetti is now because they're in the big time with the big boys.
Yeah, Bama is not to be played with. I don't care how they shouldn't have been in the playoffs or not. They are not to be played with still. But I'll take Indiana because they are the better team.
Yeah, I'm taking the upset in Alabama in this one. They've been there so many times.
It would not shock me.
Exactly. And then last but not least, we got Georgia and Ole Miss in the All-State Sugar Bowl.
This is another hope game. I hate Georgia. Can't stand them. I've hated them for a long time. And I really want Ole Miss to win just because of Lane Kiffin. I want them to really regret leaving. So I'm going to take Ole Miss here. But Georgia's right in there, man. They're probably in the top two teams in this country. So they're probably going to win, but I'm hoping. I'm taking Ole Miss.
Yeah, same thing. I'm rooting for Ole Miss to win the game, but for the same reasons. But Georgia's just too good. Give me Georgia.
Yeah, I'm taking the Dogs in this one. Now we're going to move on to one of our favorite parts of the show, and that part of the show that we're going to move on to is called Quick Picks, and we're going to run through the games real quick. We've already talked about them in depth, so we're going to do our quick picks now. And we are going to start with Carolina at Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay is favored by 3.
Tampa wins. I think they'll be the second time they'll have an 8-9 record and win the division.
Yep.
So I'm taking Tampa.
Yep. Give me Tampa because Todd Bowles is gone if he loses.
Give me the Bucs at home. Now Seattle at San Francisco. San Francisco favored by 1.
It should be a good game. Seattle's a really good team, but I think San Fran is rolling right now, and I think they make a real statement win here before the playoffs and blow out Seattle.
This is the Darnold deja vu game again, like last year in Minnesota, but I'm going to take San Francisco still.
I'm taking the Seahawks on the road. Now moving on to Sunday's games. We got Packers at Vikings. Vikings favored by 6.5.
I'm taking the Vikings only because I think the Packers are going to rest everybody.
Same here. Packers loves resting the rest of the week. Give me Minnesota.
We all agree on the Vikings. Now moving on to the Browns at the Bengals. Bengals favored by 7.5.
This might be my lock of the week. I think Cincinnati rolls over the Browns.
Burrow company.
I'm taking the Browns. Now moving on to Colts at Texans. Texans favored by 10.5.
I have no idea why. I just have some feeling that the Colts are going to give them a game. I'm going to take the Colts to at least cover.
Texans still playing for the division, possibly, so give me Texans.
I'm taking the Texans. Cowboys at Giants. Cowboys favored by 5.
This could be lock number 2. I'm taking Dallas.
Cowboys, whatever.
Yeah, taking them boys. Now the Saints at the Falcons.
Saints on a roll. They're 1-4 in a row. Shuff. Looks really good to me.
Yeah, it does.
I'm going to take the Saints.
Frisky Saints.
I'm going to take the Falcons. Now moving on. Titans at Jaguars.
Yeah.
Jaguars favored by 10.5.
Even if the game doesn't mean anything to Jacksonville, I'm taking them. Tennessee's checked out.
Jaguars still playing for number 1 seed, so give me Duval.
Taking Duval. Now moving on. Chargers at Broncos. Broncos favored by 7.5.
This might be a better game than people think. Both teams are sort of playing for stuff here. I'm going to take Denver only because they're at home.
Oh, yeah, sneaky, huge game for both these teams here. Give me the Broncos though at home.
Taking the Broncos at home. Now Chiefs at Raiders. Chiefs favored by 6.
Two teams going down quickly, but I got to go with the Chiefs just because they have more winning something than the Raiders do at this juncture. Las Vegas has really gone in the tank, so I'm taking KC.
Who in the right man picks the Raiders in the game anyway at this point now? Give me the Chiefs.
Yeah, this is my lock of the week right here because the Raiders suck. They really do. I'm taking the Chiefs. Now moving Commanders at the Eagles. Eagles favored by 8.
Yeah, I love the Eagles in this one. I'm jumping all over them.
Likewise, Eagles.
Fly birds. Now Jets at the Buffalo Bills. Buffalo Bills favored by 11.
Yeah, Jets are right up there with the Raiders. They're in Tennessee. I think they're checked out a long time ago. I'm taking Buffalo.
I know there's some seeding things for the Bills here, but I would really rush Josh Allen. You could beat the Jets without Josh Allen. Give me the Bills.
Yeah, I'm taking the Bills. Now Dolphins at Patriots. Patriots favored by 10.
For just some reason, I think Miami will give them a game. I'm going to take the Patriots, but I think Miami gives them a game.
Pats still playing number 1 seed. Give me the Pats.
Taking the Pats. Now Cardinals at Rams.
I'm going to take the Rams here. The Cardinals are one of those teams that can put up some points every once in a while, but the Rams are just too good. I'm going to take the Rams.
Rams still playing for number 5 seed, actually, so give me the Rams here.
Yep, taking the Rams. Now Lions at Bears. Bears favored by 2.5.
Yeah, I think some pride here. I think this line should be bigger, so I'm going to assume that the odds makers know what they're doing, making it close. So I'm going to take the Bears, but I think Detroit gives them a game.
It's a rivalry game, I get it, but the Bears win this game to the number 2 seed in the NFC. So give me the Bears.
The Bears. Now the last game of the week is Ravens at Steelers. As Ravens favored by 3.
Yeah, I thought this would be a pick'em game, but I'm going to take the Steelers. They do play well at home as underdogs, so that's another thing to look out for. I think the Steelers end up winning this game.
If you trust John Harbaugh, do it your own risk. Give me Pittsburgh.
I'm taking the Steelers at home. And that was Quick Picks for week number 18.
The last one of the year.
Now we're going to talk about our sports betting pick of the week. I got you a little sports bet tonight. I got the Rams winning. I got Kyron Williams anytime touchdown. I got Puka Nacua over 109.5 yards receiving. I got Drake London over 5.5 receptions. That's plus 750. And with a profit boost of 30%, that $25 turns into $268.75. So not a bad bet right there. I think that's coming in tonight. What do you have, Ernest?
I'll keep it simple tonight. Rams -7, the over 49. Bet 25, make a little $77. That's all.
Okay, Pat, any sports bets for the week?
I think Matt Kachuk is coming back to the Panthers. He's missed the
This
whole
week?
year. It's sometime this week.
Wow.
I don't think they play tonight and tomorrow, but I don't think it's those games. And then they got the Winter Classic. I think he comes back for the Winter Classic, and if he does, take the Panthers in that game because I think everybody will be hyped up to have him back.
Awesome. I love that bet. Now we're going to talk about what's going on here at PBKC. We just finished with December high hands. Now we're going into the January high hands. New year, new wins with those January high hands every 15 minutes, 9 a.m. to midnight. And the big giveaway is on January the 31st. We also have the big game party. We know more information about that. It's $45 all-you-can-eat buffet, and that is on February 8th. We don't know the teams. All we know is this is the place to be in the paddock with over 140 HD TVs. For reservations, call 561-683-2222, extension 199. We have our big January Monster Multi-Flight coming up, too. And that's the 8th through 11th, $100,000 guarantee with $300 buy-in. We have all of the best tournaments in the entire state here at PBKC. Our structures are amazing. Ernest can tell you that. We also have live streaming and some of the best tournaments, and this is a multi-flight going on from the 8th to 11th. And, of course, I want to wish everybody a Happy New Year. What is your New Year's resolution, Pat?
I'm really going to start cheering very hard for the Steelers and just no. I don't make. You know what? Funny. I don't really make New Year's resolutions because they're just another thing in life that you do, and then you don't do them, and you're disappointed in yourself, and you get depressed, and they actually end up working against you. So all I try to do is each day be a little bit better person than I was the day before, and that doesn't always happen. But I try just mentally to be like, I'm going to go positive in this day and try to have that emulate amongst the people that I encounter. And like I said, I don't do it all the time, but that's right. Then, like if you're saying I'm going to lose weight or I'm going to quit smoking or I'm going to whatever, all you end up doing is not you'll do it for a little while and then you end up going back to your old habits and you're mad at yourself. So I think they're dumb.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I don't believe in that stuff resolution. I cut that thing 20-some years ago, man, honestly. Just be better than you were yesterday, you know, like I have personal goals in mind, obviously. That's every day, of course, and be healthy and this and that. I think for me, if anything, just be more disciplined in things I commit to doing. You know what I mean? That's all.
Yeah, my wife asked me this last night. That's why I asked on the show. And she's like, oh, you don't do that every year? I come up with this and that. I'm like, no. I said,
stopped that years ago.
You know, either that or I lie and be like, I just want to be a better husband and a better father and all these other things. You know, come on. But just be your best every day. There's no need for New Year's resolutions. But we're going to catch you next week. Yeah. We're going to be back to our Wednesday shows at 10 a.m. next Wednesday right here on PBKC Picks. Happy holidays, of course. Happy New Year from all of us. And we're going to see you next Wednesday at 10 a.m.
See you next year.
PBKC is your entertainment destination for poker, table games, OTB, Paddock live events, and exceptional eats. The Paddock restaurant is perfect for meetings, corporate functions, parties, fundraising, and more. Call 561-683-2222, extension 199, and book your next event today. Feast in Football is back in the paddock. Get ready for touchdowns and tasty bites every football Sunday during the regular season. Enjoy a $25 all-you-can-eat buffet plus one draft beer, or get it free when you place a $25 or more live bet on the Hard Rock Bet app at PBKC. Featuring 140 HD TVs, 3 giant screens, and a full bar. Bring your crew, place your bets, and pile your plate high. This is how Sundays were meant to be.